If you guys have been keeping up with what I'm doing, what my wife Simply Sally's doing, and me moving from this shop to my other shop and this and that, you will know that this used to be my garage or my storage place, right? And that being said, I have completely destroyed the top of my trim on my garage door. This is after a year. It's awful, I know. Shouldn't have happened, but it did. Um, I'm going to be showing how easy it is to replace this, and now that it's replaced, I have my big shop over there, and this won't ever happen again, hopefully. So let's get started.
This part right here you may or may not have to do. Usually you can get your new trim and just slide it over your existing damaged trim and nail it in place, and you'll never know the difference. The reason I'm actually going and removing the old trim is because I drove my tractor into it multiple times, and I was kind of concerned, about the structural part of it, and I just wanted to verify that I didn't bust any studs or damage the wood to the point that it needed to be replaced. Luckily, I did not, because that would have been a job right there, taking all that wood down. But coming up soon, I get my framing nailer because I noticed some of the wood was loose. Probably when I drove into it, I knocked the nails loose or whatever. It wasn't terrible, but I felt a little better just getting my framing nailer and driving some nails up in there, and that sturdied everything up. Everything's good and solid now. But like I said, usually you can get your new trim and just slide it over, nail it in place. You do have to cut your angles on the edges, and that's what I'm doing now. I don't go and show you like the details of it because I'm sure people do things different, and a lot of the angles will be different. In my case, on the bottom there, I just measured back 2 inches and then got my square and went up to the tip, if that makes sense. Okay, so if you're looking at it, the bottom you put a mark 2 inches, get your square and take your square from that 2-inch mark and go up to the top of the the edge of the trim, and then you just cut that angle and slide it in. I hope that makes sense. If not, usually if you're replacing trim, you can just look at what you've got and copy that. I actually messed up, and I'll talk more on that later, but I actually messed up, and that's kind of why I got 3 pieces. In case I did, I could just put that third piece over the messed up edges and cover it up, and that turned out okay. But if you were wondering what I was cutting that stuff with a while ago, I was using my pneumatic. It's like a pneumatic metal shear, pneumatic scissors, pneumatic shear. I can't remember what it's called. You can look that up. I got it at Harbor Freight. It was pretty cheap. It's a heck of a lot faster than using like manual shears. Manual shears work great, but for a length of run that was like 20 feet, and that pneumatic, you saw I zipped that thing within like a minute. It was really fast. So it's a lot quicker and more efficient. The only issue is, and you'll see that in a minute too, I always put oil in my pneumatic tools, and when I turned that thing on, some oil blew out of the exhaust onto the siding, and I'll just wipe that off later, like what is it called? Like a goop, GOOP or Gooby Gone wipe. I can't remember what that stuff's called, but it works great. I think it's orange white container. Anyways, I hope I explained in detail enough. And right here, oh my gosh, this was awful. I was using aluminum trim nails to put this stuff back up because that's aluminum trim nails. That's what you should use, right? And I don't know if there's a trick to this. I'll also mention this later in the video. But I don't know if there's a trick to this. I probably should have looked it up. But those nails were bending. I was tapping it so gently, so gently. And I was bending the nails, and the tips of them were getting blunt. And I probably threw away 30 nails or something doing this. I'm exaggerating. Maybe not 30. Maybe like 10 nails doing this. And those aluminum nails were so frustrating. Right here, I'm just getting my square and measuring, I think it was like 5 inches, but I just measured the piece that was already there and copied that, because that's kind of important when you're putting that seal back. You want to get that exactly where it was, if it was sealing the door right, of course. If it wasn't, you'll have to adjust, but in my case, it was sealing the door just fine, so I measured back the 5 inches and kept it 5 inches all the way down. Just want to mention right here, I'm using a 15 gauge finish nailer to put the seal back around the door.
Well, there you go, guys. I'm all finished up. It took me right at an hour. I recorded the whole thing, and then I just looked at my clock on my camera, and it said like 57 minutes or something. So it took an hour to do this, which is not bad. I just want to clarify a couple things right quick. Usually, you don't have to cut off the entire section like I did. Normally, you can just get the trim and just put it over what you've got and nail it up, and you're done. And that probably wouldn't take 20 or 30 minutes. The reason I did that is because I may or may not have driven my backhoe into the ceiling maybe twice, 3 times or something. And I was just wanting to check out the structural part of it and make sure no wood was busted or anything, which it wasn't, thank goodness. That would have been a lot longer than an hour, I can tell you that. But I still went over with my nailer. I felt some of the wood was loose, so when I hit it, I may have knocked the nails loose. So I just went back over with my framing nailer, and I popped a bunch of nails in it. It's solid now. It's not moving anymore. In case you guys were wondering, I got the trim from Trim Bender. I'm not sponsored by them or anything. I've used them in the past because it may be different in your area, but where I live, it's difficult to find somebody to do small jobs like this. And if you do find somebody, I found a couple of people in the past, and they want to charge you so much. It doesn't even make, you're like, what the heck? There's no way, because you could rebuild the entire garage door for the amount that they want to charge for a couple pieces of trim. But I use Trim Bender. If you guys are keeping up with the Playhouse and all that stuff, I ordered trim, and we did the trim on the Playhouse. I didn't get to record it because we were trying to get it done in a hurry because it was supposed to rain like always. I'm always working, trying to beat the rain. But I snuck it in on that order, so I saved on shipping. And I'm thinking those 3 pieces, don't hold me to it because I haven't looked at the invoice, but I want to say it was like $60 or $70. If somebody were to charge, were to come out here and fix this, from my experience, it'd be over $300. So I saved a couple $100, and like I said, it only took me an hour. The nails, if you were wondering why I was hitting the nails so many times, I don't know if there's a trick to this. If you guys know of a trick, please let me know. Other than getting a drill and drilling a hole in it, and to me that takes just as long as what I'm doing. But I'm using aluminum trim nails, and I don't know if you guys have ever tried to use an aluminum nail before, but you have to barely gently tap the things because they bend, and if they hit any kind of hard spot in the wood, they bend. You got to pull them out. So that's what I was doing. If you saw me hitting it in, pulling it out, hitting it in, pulling it out, the nails were bending. I don't know. I really didn't even need to use those because you don't see them anyway, where I covered them up with the seal that goes around the garage door. But yeah, usually you can get the trim if you order it right. You can just slide it over it, nail it up, and you're done. I did use 3 pieces instead of 2. The reason I did that is because I wasn't sure if I was going to mess up the angle. So I just got 3 pieces, and if I screwed up the angle, I could just move that to the other side and cut that angle and then cover it up with the middle. And I did mess up one time. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I hope you guys got something out of this. I'll see you in the next one.